Hello, and welcome to this week's medical terminology covering the terms associated with the endocrine system. And if you don't know, the endocrine system is hormones. And if you're not sure about exactly what hormones do to the rest of your body, may I invite you to visit a middle school or a high school because but hormones are involved in everything and every aspect of our lives. So let's take a look. As you can see, there are organs that are part of the endocrine system throughout the body, starting at the head, the pineal gland, the pituitary, and the hypothalamus, right there in the center of your brain. Then we have the thyroid gland, which is here in your neck, and the parathyroid glands, which are wrap around the thyroid gland, kind of like a beer cozy. Okay. Then you have the adrenal glands. And when you think about the adrenal glands, think about the word like this: adrenal, because that's going to remind you where they are. The adrenal glands are on top of the kidneys, right there, that little yellow cap on top of the kidneys. And then, of course, we have the gender-specific glands, ovaries, and testicles, depending upon what was in your construction kit when you got born. Okay, well, I should say when you were conceived. All right. So let's take a look at these one by one. Hypo, remember, hypo is the prefix that means below. And in this case, it is located below the thalamus gland. So it's in the third ventricle of the brain. And, you know, one of our students had emailed me and asked me about some of these terms like ventricle, because you see here that you have a ventricle in your brain, but you also know that you have a ventricle in your heart. So how can you tell the difference if it's the same word? And this comes from you paying attention to the context in which it is being referred. We also have another very good indicator, which is it depends on what kind of specialty we are talking about. Okay. And what I mean by that is the hypothalamus gland, the endocrine system, is going to be treated by an endocrinologist who, if mentioning the third ventricle or a ventricle, is going to be talking about this ventricle, as opposed to a cardiologist. Cardio, remember, heart. Ologist, the study of or specialty of. Okay, so that's another way that you can tell what are you meaning in this particular use of a word. And paying attention to the whole of the notes as you're reading physician notations and documentation is important. You cannot just pick out things. Okay. All right. So you can notice here that this is what's going on in your brain right now. How exciting. Yeah. Okay. Whatever you call it, sometimes you call it crazy. Okay. Not crazy as in mental health. I'm talking about just, you know, hormonal, as we all know. Okay, so the pituitary gland, and let's just go back for a second. Look at the pituitary gland, has two lobes. See the dog note, two barks, two lobes. That'll help you remember, right? They don't have off switches. Okay, so the pituitary, 2 lobes, one, the adenohypophysis. Okay, that's a long word. But as you've been learning about prefixes and suffixes, we can take this apart. Okay, adeno, hypo below, and physis. This produces and releases hormones when the hypothalamus says, yo, time to go to work. Okay, it's the larger lobe sitting anteriorly. Okay, now let's just go back for a second and look at the picture. You see that larger lobe. Now in this particular picture, it is posterior, it's behind, but in the body, it's toward the front. Okay. All right. So adeno hormones, right? Hypo below, physis. Neurophysis is responsible for storage. It stores 2 types of hormones that come from the hypothalamus. Okay. So basically, when the neurohypophysis is running low on its storage, the hypothalamus says, yo, adenohypophysis, let's go, get to work. Isn't that amazing how teamwork is solidly in the human body? And this is all going on and we have no awareness of it, because this is all part of making sure the body works properly and does what it's got to do. All right, now inside your neck, you have your thyroid gland, and it looks like a butterfly. It wraps around the front, the front and sides of your trachea. Trachea, if you remember, is your windpipe. The trachea is what leads down your neck into your lungs, and the thyroid gland is wrapped right around it, and it's connected by an isthmus. I swear, I don't know what they were thinking when they came up with these names. All right. So now we're moving down the body and we're at the kidneys. And you know, your kidneys are actually more to the back. Okay. And these are adrenal glands, sometimes referred to as the suprarenal glands. Supra meaning above, renal, kidney, right? Okay. And you can see that they look like little piles of yellow something. I don't know what, butter? Oh, yeah, that could be butter. All right. One on top of each kidney. And these little lumps of yellow produce more than 25 hormones. Adrenocortical hormones, also known as corticoids, also known as corticosteroids. So again, you just throw the dictionary in the air and pick a word. Okay, I find it easier to remember adrenocortical hormones. Adreno, again, adrenal, right? Okay, and so these help keep things going. They also affect your immune system, as you might know from your own personal experience or somebody you know that had to take steroids or corticosteroids with an infection or something like that. Okay. Now we have the pancreas. So we're kind of moving kind of up and a little bit. And the pancreas, you remember we talked about the pancreas when we were talking about the digestive system. Do you remember that? Because part of the pancreas provides important secretions into the small intestine, right there about dead center to the left a little bit, the major and minor duodenal papilla, right where the gallbladder is going to put the bile into to help digestion. But now we have another part of the pancreas that is involved with blood sugar, right? You know that diabetes is a condition caused by a dysfunctional pancreas, part of the dysfunctional pancreas, the clusters of endocrine cells known as the islets of Langerhans, which are the pancreatic islets. And I actually worked with a physician who surgically can remove them, and it's really fascinating surgery. But the point is, many years ago, they tried to do pancreatic transplants to cure type 1 diabetes, but unfortunately, the mortality rate is too high, so it's not recommended. So isn't it, I find this interesting that the pancreas has two jobs. It's a member of two different body systems. And it is important to remember that the endocrine system, as you saw in this first picture, is directly involved with what is going on in your body, the ability to procreate, the ability to keep your metabolism at a proper rate, and as well as, and like I said before, if you've ever talked to a teenager, you know about the impact of hormones on emotional status. So it is a very complex system, and it is important to get your thyroid checked at your annual, especially if you're a woman, and also to learn these terms, review these terms often, and use that medical dictionary so you are memorizing correctly. And when you have a question, who are you going to call? Well, you're going to email me. That's right. That's exactly correct. I am here for you 7 days a week if you have any questions. And remember to email me at safiansc@cctech.edu, because the other one that says my mail in it goes directly to the third ring of Saturn, and I will never see it. Okay? All right. Any questions? Nope. Then great. You have a wonderful day. For those of you who are celebrating Passover, happy Passover. For those of you selling Easter, it's coming up this weekend. So no matter what, hard-boiled eggs are in your future. Have a wonderful day and a wonderful week. Bye.